Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast. Katie Mox and Will Brinson here, joined with our Monday Pick Show squad, Alex Selelnick and Emory Hunt of Sportsline. The last episode, the Super Friends broke down week 4 of the NFL season. It was Breach, Wilson, and Brinson, and they all claimed that this year is finally the Bills' year. And I don't know about that. I mean, all right, we'll talk about it.
I say the Bills are the best team in the NFL.
All right, let's talk about that. You guys also diagnosed the Hollywood Chiefs problems to more than just Swiftie fever. If you want to watch that episode, check it out on our YouTube channel, audio version, wherever you get your podcasts. And while you're at it, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to everything that we got going on. The Bills are the best team in the NFL. I mean, I don't know. I've just bet, you guys know, I've bet so much on the Bills, and they disappoint me every year. So it's hard, but I mean, they look good.
I just think they're the most. I mean, they lost to week 1 of the Jets. Jets are kind of their kryptonite. That defense played really well. It's, home opener. Rodgers gets hurt. Jets are a little deflated, but they storm back. Josh Allen got impatient. And maybe it's a blessing in disguise, because the last 3 weeks he's been extremely patient. And people are like, well, the Niners are better. That's fine. Niners are really good. I picked the Bills over the Niners in the Super Bowl. So I feel pretty good about my start to the season in terms of like my projection overall for the outcome there. But I think the one difference I would say, this is sort of what I said last night, so I don't want to rehash it too much. But if let's say it's Bills versus Niners, and there's a chance that one of those teams is down 17 points to the other team, or down double digits. Do I want Josh Allen or Brock Purdy leading the comeback? And the answer for me
Purdy.
is, well, I love Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy's awesome, but don't you agree, right?
If we're looking at who's a better quarterback, of course, I'm going to say Josh Allen is better from what we've seen than Brock Purdy. But
the
in
Niners,
terms of the offense, I think the Niners offense is better than the Bills offense in terms of it. I don't know. I mean,
if you switch, this is what, let's
keep it moving here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Power rank. We'll discuss this further tomorrow on the Power Rank show with Pete Prisco, myself, Ryan Wilson, and John Breach, in which we rank random things and then look at Pete's power ranks. I'd be curious to see how he handles the top 5, because we gave him grief about not having the Dolphins. He had the Dolphins at 4, maybe, or the Dolphins at 5, and the Bills at 6, and was like, I think the Bills are going to win. And I agreed with him. So I think Pete's top 5 will be Niners, Eagles, because they're both undefeated, right? Only 2 undefeated teams left.
Yep, in the NFC too, which is interesting.
And then that's right. And then Chiefs, Bills, and then I don't know who'll go at 5, maybe Cowboys or Dolphins.
All right. Well, if you want to hear last night's recap, make sure you find that on our YouTube channel or anywhere that you get your podcast. And then also make sure that you tune in tomorrow for the power rankings for more on that. We are going to look at some early leans for week 5. But before we do, let's just do a short week 4 betting recap, kind of look at some macro trends. Favorites went 7-5-2 against the spread. Home teams also victorious here, 7-5-2 against the spread. Home dogs 3-1-1. Unders went 6-8. And underdogs finally dipped below 500. This has kind of been the year of the dog for the first few weeks. They're 26-21-1. Week 4 really illustrated the power of the home field advantage. Should we assume that this trend is going to continue, Emory?
Listen, I'm the wrong person to ask about home or away advantages, because like I've said before, if the better team will win no matter where the game is played. So I really truly believe it's about each week it's a whole new thing, right? In terms of the matchup, injuries, who's in, who's out, and who's playing. More so than home or away, the last 10 games or on national TV or prime time. It's really a week-to-week, game-to-game basis in terms of betting, in my opinion.
Well, and I think too, and Propstarz, you can, I'm curious what you think about, if you're looking at, when you're evaluating the home away stuff, like who's playing at home, right? Like home field advantage has dissipated significantly over the past few years, to the point where there are some true home field advantages. And RJ, we could talk about this on Thursday. We should probably ask him about it. But for instance, the Eagles are at the Rams this week. Who's not going to it used to be, it was just automatic 3 points, home field advantage. You build that in the line. There is no home field advantage that will be built in to Eagles versus the Rams, because the Eagles will have the home field advantage here because Eagles fans travel well. There's Eagles fans everywhere. They're a little bandwagony sometimes, and that's fine.
Rams are such a newer franchise in LA. They don't have an actual home fan base.
Yeah, and it's like if you're an Eagles fan, if you're like a wealthy-ish diehard Eagles fan, or like you have like, if you got a bunch of miles, like a bunch of Sky Miles or something, like you know what? You might have blocked off Sunday, October 8th at 4 p.m., 1 p.m. West Coast time to be out in Los Angeles, where it's just delightful all the time to see the Rams play.
I would agree. I think home field's really only applicable to about a handful, maybe less than 10 teams in the NFL. As far as like historical trends, home field advantage, I'm with Emory here. I just have a tough time really weighing that very heavily. I kind of focus more just on the week-to-week matchup, and I agree kind of with Emory's outlook. That's just certainly how it applies to props. So sides and totals, a little bit of a different story, but with props, I'm just kind of honed in on the individual matchup.
And I saw somebody in the comments talking about in the playoffs it matters. And listen, I'm gonna give you from both sides, because as a player, I know we lost every doggone game no matter what we played in college, right? Didn't matter. And as a Saints fan growing up, we talk about the Dome Patrol, like, oh man, the Saints, it's hard to play in the Superdome. Saints lost all their playoff games with the Dome Patrol at home. So was it really the home field, or was the fact that the team had, Deion Sanders or Randall Cunningham or the Anthony Carter and Minnesota Vikings beat the brakes off the Saints 44-10 in their first playoff game in 87? As an adult, you realize, you know what? That really doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? But it does help you in terms of rest and injury. So maybe that's a way that people look at it, as opposed to the actual stadium beating you, that it doesn't matter.
It's not the actual stadium, but our friends over at Cheesehead TV also in the comments here. Hopefully it's Aaron Nagler. What's up, Nags? Home field advantage is rare now, but you definitely saw it on display in Buffalo yesterday. I do think that somewhere like Buffalo or Seattle or even Kansas City,
Seattle specifically to that, the Panthers had 8 false starts, right, in that game against the Seahawks. Like, that is a case of home field advantage mattering significantly.
I would.
Did it, or was it the fact that they were playing a rookie, Andy Dalton in the offensive line, or in Buffalo? I want to say Rich Stadium.
There is an advantage to. I mean, crowds can affect false starts and those kind of things. So I do think when you have a very passionate fan base, it's really loud. Yes, the better team is going to win, but I do think that certain stadiums and fan bases can affect small things in the game to give the advantage. I mean, you look at even betting spreads. Home field advantage is always 3 points.
Right. Well, and like you got to think about it too from this. I think this is a good perspective, right? So when the Seahawks played the Panthers were 0-3, and the Seahawks were 2-1. This is a Seahawks team that had played. I'm trying to think where they played in Week 1. Did they play at home in Week 1?
Detroit, I think.
No, they lost the Rams. They lost the Rams at home in Week 1. Play at Detroit. So you're coming back home. You're still 2-1. Like you're not, for instance, this week, Panthers are going to the Lions, right, in Week 5. The Lions are going to have a significant home field advantage because they're 3-1. They're coming off a 10-day stretch where this Lions crowd is going to be a significant impact on that game because they are 3-1. They're playing good football. The crowd is rowdy. Those Lions fans have been dying to have a good football team. You saw they traveled to Green Bay. Like they were like, let's go Lions chants breaking out at Lambeau Field. That's pretty crazy. I think Carolina will walk into a hornet's nest here against the Lions. Whereas if Detroit's 1-3, and Carolina's, 3-1, maybe Lions fans are a little they got the brown paper bags on their heads. They're not screaming. They're not, like having a good football team matters too. Like home field advantage can vary depending on the fan base, depending on the success of the team.
Yeah, agree. All right, let's move on from those macro trends and look at some week 5 now? Yeah, we're week 5 now. Week 5. Wow. Early leans for week 5, starting with the Bears and the Commanders. Let's see. Commanders -7. Wow. Total 44.5. This line opened up at 6, but we've seen that already balloon up to a full touchdown. Bears are one of the winless teams in the NFL. Are they the only winless team, or there's
Panthers? Panthers also
winless?
winless.
Yeah, Panthers and Bears 0-4. Commanders 2-2. Bears 0-3-1 against the spread. Commanders splitting there. When you look at the overs and the unders, Bears are actually 4-0 to the over. Commanders are 2-2. What does your scouting report tell you about this one, Emory?
One, take the over, because the Bears can score. They just can't stop anybody.
They cannot.
And so we know Washington can score. And the scouting point here is Washington has no problem scoring, juxtaposed to Kansas City having issues scoring. Now, we know Kansas City has a better quarterback. We know Washington, pound for pound, has better receivers on the perimeter. KC has a better tight end. I say it's a push with running back situation in KC and Washington. But the difference is Eric Bieniemy. How much of a difference has Eric Bieniemy made for Sam Howell? And the biggest key for me is the fact that he's showing faith in Sam Howell, like still allowing him to go out there and just throw the football. Be you. Yeah, he had 9 sacks the last game, 4 interceptions. There was not a conservative game plan going into the Philadelphia game. They actually needed Sam Howell to almost pull through and win this game. So I think the difference here is, one, the coordinators, and you have to give that edge to both Washington on both sides of the ball, because they actually have a plan defensively, and they also have a plan offensively. You can't say that right now about the Bears. We know about their defense coordinator suddenly retire or leaving the team, and we know they can't stop anybody. They trade away or they cut Travis Gibson, who's out there making plays for the Titans, and they need a pass rush, and now they don't have. So there's a lot defensively going on, but I do like the over because they do have the explosive element at quarterback. And I think they finally got it right in terms of how they're going to run their offense. But to me, Washington should win this game, but I like the over better than anything.
Yeah, Bears 4-0 to the over. I mean, like you said, they can't stop anything. Brinson, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, if you haven't seen the Matt Eberflus press conference from today, where you talk about Chase Claypool, it is just awkward. It's like 20 straight questions where they're grilling him. They're like, well, where is he? What happened? And he's just like, we're just doing what's best for the team. And we sort of talked about this last night. That they give it the 32nd overall pick in the NFL draft for Chase Claypool. Like, they had the first overall, because the Dolphins didn't have a first round pick, so there was only 31 in the first round. They had the 32nd pick, and like, that's really bad. Like, this guy's not going to be on the team in a couple of weeks, more than likely, unless they can get like a 7th round pick for him. He's causing locker room issues apparently, or there's just something going on between the front office and the coaching staff and Chase Claypool. Like, that is, it's going to fly under the radar because of the DJ Moore trade and the Bryce Young trade, DJ Moore trade, and then getting that, what looks like right now, the 2nd overall pick. But like, I don't know, that's sort of blind luck if the Panthers are that bad. So the Bears feel like we had all this stuff last week with the $100,000 stuff stolen, the defensive coordinator. Like, it's like, this is just piling up on the Bears, and it's, coaching is a problem. Justin Fields had a great game until he didn't. And I'd be curious, Alex, what you think about this too, because about this time last year, the Bears actually decided to start running Justin Fields. Like, they basically gave up, and they basically gave up.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they were like, oh crap, we can't win. We're losing games. Like, they were actually had won 2 of their first 5 games. So they were 2-3. And then it was like week 6. He finally had his first rushing game with more than 55 rushing yards. They actually did some design runs for him. And this is where he hit that streak or it's like a stretch of 6 games where he was averaging 13.3 rushing attempts per game and 106.7 rushing yards per game. And so I'm just sort of wondering, where you think how this could play out if the Bears are like, oh crap, we're in the same boat as we were last year. Let's run Fields some and see what happens. Do you think they move that way? Is there value on Fields rushing overs, et cetera?
Yeah, I just don't know how sustainable it is for Justin Fields to be running around a lot.
It's not.
Just has durability issues. I agree. Probably gives him the best chance to win. He actually had success, obviously, passing the football against that Broncos secondary, completely depleted. Looked good for 2.5, 3 quarters there before things went sideways for him. But I do agree. I am surprised that Justin Fields isn't running around a bit more. I was also surprised in the Bears backfield. There had been a lot of rumblings that Rashawn Johnson had taken over as the starting running back, or at least was going to be in some form of a 50-50 split. I liked Rashawn Johnson a lot coming into the week as far as his individual props were concerned. Khalil Herbert ended up playing 56 of 72 snaps. So he's at least looks to be in command of that backfield for the time being. I think it might kind of flip-flop on a week-to-week basis, kind of a hot hand situation there. As far as the Commanders are concerned, 7 points is a lot for this football team, in my opinion. I know it's against the Bears. I just subscribe to the theory it's a lot easier to play without expectations than it is with expectations. Therefore, meaning, when they're a 7-point dog or 8-point dog to the Eagles, a little bit easier to show up and surprise people than it is when you're a 7-point favorite against a Bears team. So as bad as the Bears have looked, actually, I kind of like them in this spot. I just think 7 points is too much for this Commanders team to be favored. One thing I want to touch on really quickly, been very encouraged by Terry McLaurin. I believe he's over that early season turf toe that seemed to be hobbling a bit. It looks to be 100%. Someone I'm going to definitely target against this Bears secondary in this game probably as well.
All right, moving along from the Amazon, I wish I could return this package Thursday night football game to the Sunday morning London game. It is like, I love this Brian Fitzpatrick commercial. It's like, Prime, it's on. And it's like Bears and Commanders. You're like, all right, let's make this short and sweet.
Yep.
Jaguars at the Bills. Bills minus 5.5. This game is in London. The total here, 48 open. The look-ahead line was Bills minus 4.5, open to Bills minus 5.5. Hasn't really moved since then, I don't believe. The interesting thing about this is you have a really rare occurrence where one team in London has been there. The Jaguars have been there. They've been there for a week. Their bodies have completely adjusted. Yep. The Bills slaughtered the Dolphins. I don't know when they're flying over there, but they're going to have to adjust, and I think that's why you haven't seen this line move up a ton. I'll say this: the Lions and Falcons game, the Jaguars and Falcons game, the total for that game, and I pointed this out. This is like they were like, give us one bet in the first 4 weeks that you would take. I was like, the Jaguars Falcons under. It's 43. Why is it 43 when the Bills Jaguars total is 45? Like, the Falcons aren't as good offensively as the Bills. I think we can all agree on that. They scored 30 points total in that game. That under would easily hit. So I hope you were watching HQ way back when. But this one is actually, this total was up to 48. Yeah. So, it was like 45 or something like that, or whatever it was. I'm curious. It's just hard to say. It's hard to say how a team is going to react to traveling to London on a short week. And then how do the Jaguars perform knowing that they've been there for a full week? Like, Emory, like, body clock wise, that matters, right?
Yeah.
Nah, the Bills are home team, so they got the
home field advantage. Yeah, that's right.
And at home, they
3 points.
This is a tough. Two things. It's tough on the body because of the time difference, and the fact you got to get used to playing at a certain time, and also the field. I hate the field over there. I'd rather them play at Downtown Abbey or the street the Beatles walked across. Like, don't play on those. All you see is slipping and sliding and. The field the grass looks like it's like 17 inches high. It's terrible. So that's gonna make this a sloppy game. And for the Jags, they've been over there, but I feel and the Jags have fallen victim probably a little bit to their reading their own.
By the way, the Jaguars are also traveling too. They're switching resorts and switching stadiums. So they're moving their whole compound, and they're not traveling like time zones, but they're traveling, which is just a bizarre like.
Now, let's look at this from a field perspective. Just when you got used to the field you were playing on, this week we're going to do 3/4 of an inch cleat spikes. Now you go to another field, you're like, all right, well, which spikes do I use? It's crazy. So I just feel like the Jags, one, have been pressing a lot in terms of reading their own press clippings. On paper, they're supposed to average 30 points a game. But because they think that, they haven't done that yet. And I think if they just played their game, let the game come to them, they'll find those chunk plays that we saw the back half of the season. So because this game is in London, a new field, and I would stay away from this one and just watch for watching perspective as opposed to putting any money on it.
Well, and just to note, so the Wembley is like that old thick grass, right?
Wherever they played last week has grass that hadn't been cut yet. It looked like.
Yeah, Wembley's like that thick pitch.
Right.
On Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.com, it's NFL comes in 17 as the 2023 London Games touchdown on Tottenham Hotspur Stadium's groundbreaking purpose-built NFL pitch. So you're wondering what
pitch and not
NFL
grass?
pitch.
Well, pitch is just field. Pitch is
I
just
know.
field.
I've just never heard of an NFL.
Call it grass.
Refer to it as that.
If they're calling it pitch, don't play on it. Play on grass. Find some grass in England and play on it. You know what I'm saying? Because this
is pitch turf.
No, pitch is grass.
Pitch is just the
field.
Pitch
just means field, but for soccer, yeah. I just thought it was interesting that they called it an NFL pitch. All right, any prop input here, Propstarz?
I think the loss of Tre'Davious White could be a big one as far as like fantasy, just as far as the Bills as the matchups are concerned. A very good secondary. Losing a corner as good as Tre'Davious White, I think, will be kind of invite some more high-scoring game environments when the Bills are playing. I was just very encouraged with the Bills' performance, obviously, against the Dolphins. Just super versatile. Just love how they're able to run the football now as a weakness for them previously. They're very good running the football now. They can play with the lead. They can play from behind, short area passing game. They can pass downfield. So I just think this Bears offense is very, very versatile. James Cook, however, only played 23 of 58 offensive snaps. He seemed to have a stranglehold on Buffalo's backfield, something to look out for here, especially in this matchup against the Jags.
All right, let's move on to the Texans at Atlanta. Atlanta obviously coming back from London. Atlanta laying 1.5. This is close to pick 'em.
Sorry, I'm just going to throw out something really quickly.
Yeah.
Last year, 2 games at Tottenham, Vikings Saints on October 2nd. We got 53 total points, and then Giants Packers got 49 total points. So we had some pretty high scoring games on that Tottenham pitch, which maybe like that. To Emory's point, it's possible that Wembley Stadium thick grass is a lot slower, and that this is kind of a juiced up turf that we could see more points being scored on. Just a thought. Anyway, sorry. Moving on.
Okay, so you lean over the 48 then?
Yeah, I think I would lean over the 48, especially with these two offenses.
Okay, I like it. All right, Texans at Atlanta. Atlanta laying 1.5. This total 41.5. Texans are 2-2 across everything. Money line against the spread, over and under. Falcons 2-2 money line, 1-3 to everything else. 3 to the under. One thing that I think is interesting about these teams coming back from London stats. Now, these are stats from last year. I was reading an Action Network article, and team totals following London games, post-London game team totals are 3-2 to the under, and opponent team totals are 4-1 to the over. Thought process here is, and I bet this a lot last year, and actually it hit, is that specifically defenses coming back from the travel, they're just not as tough coming up on the next week. So the teams that they're facing tend to do a little bit better. I look at the Texans here, both the Texans and the Falcons team total are 20.5. I'm hammering the over on the Texans team total. I think they definitely get, the Falcons are coming back. They're a little bit gassed, and this Texans offense has been cooking. So that's kind of somewhere that I lean. What are you thinking about this one, Propstarz?
I like those leans quite a bit, Katie. Yeah, I just think the Falcons got pretty badly exposed. They just cannot sustain drives whatsoever. As a result, I think the Texans are going to be on the field a ton, and I think their defense is going to really suffer as a result. This could be Desmond Ridder's last start possibly this season. Looks like he could be benched. Had a terrible game, 4 sacks, 2 interceptions, led to just 7 points yesterday. That is unacceptable when you have Bijan Robinson, when you have Kyle Pitts, when you have Drake London. Obviously not all the blame on Desmond Ridder, but certainly the quarterback play in Atlanta has not been very good at all. And then this Texans team has just been so impressive. I've just been so impressed by CJ Stroud. Nico Collins absolutely balling, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns. Prior to week 2, he hadn't had a 100-yard receiving game, and then he went 7 for 146, and then his monster performance there yesterday. Dameon Pierce finally had a good game. This Texans offense is for real. They are legit balling. Super impressed with them, and going forward, I think they're going to beat Atlanta this week too.
All right, let's the Falcons. Ritter is going to start. Arthur Smith announced, but man, my Falcons. He's 4-0 at home. That's what I'm hanging my hat on, is that they'll figure out something to do at home. Speaking about home, the Lions might have a home field advantage coming up next week. But first, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Panthers at Lions. cat on cat action.
Oh my.
Who wins? Oh my.
It's the epitome of European football, as world-class clubs go head-to-head in the group stage.
It's an absolute banger!
The UEFA Champions League on CBS Sports Network and streaming live on Paramount+.
Welcome back to Pick Six. All right, Panthers at Lions. Lions laying 8.5. This total 43.5. Panthers are the only other winless team in the league with the Bears. I'm going to go to you first, Brinson, because Panthers are quasi.
They're my team. Yeah, I live here. I mean, it's pretty.
8.5 is pretty large, though.
I would get the Lions now. Panthers stink. The Panthers are hot trash right now, and they really should be 0-4 against the spread. They ended up pushing against the Saints, and it was like a kind of a garbage time backdoor touchdown that it sort of kept a little bit of hope alive at home on that Monday night game. But by and large, I mean, Carolina has no explosiveness whatsoever on offense. The offensive line is not great. Unfortunately, like 2/5 of it is a bunch of NC State guys, which is not great for me. Curious what you think here, Emory. What should the Panthers do? Like what Bryce Young was number 1 overall pick. It was an easy one. Panthers traded up, gave up a ton for him, and he's been the 3rd best rookie quarterback so far this year. What would you do if you were Frank Reich with Bryce Young?
Allow him to be Bryce Young. That's why you drafted him. And his play is based off how he plays off script. But when you're trying to force a square peg in a round hole, it's not going to work. And just going quickly back to that Atlanta game, I had something on that in terms of how the coach, coordinator, play caller thing dynamic doesn't work. And you see a little bit of that with Carolina. If you're going to be a head coach and was a former coordinator, hire someone to call plays. You can't do it all. Only rare guys can do it. We see it with Sean McVay. We see it with Shanahan. And I feel like when you have too many cooks in the kitchen, which is the case of Carolina, it could be a problem. And so you see a dude out there that's not trying to play like Bryce Young. You see him playing like Frank Reich. You see him playing like Josh McCown. You see him playing like, all these guys that have had their hands in the quarterback position. Just play your game and it'll open up for you.
By the way, just I've noted, I think that's really interesting that you brought that up because my mom texted me this morning and said, "Hi, Will, I have a mom football question for you." They were at the Panthers game yesterday. We were told yesterday that the Panthers coach calls the plays for the quarterback. Is that the case for every team? I love you. Shout out to Mimi.
That's a great question.
Shout out to Reverend Ann. Shout out to Mimi. That's your grandmother name. No, Mom, it is not the case with every team. It is the case with I was sort of like walking through how I was going to respond to her because it's kind of a complex.
Yeah.
It's not like an easy, like, no. Question. What's that?
It's a great question.
Yeah. And it's like, Frank Reich has been successful calling plays before. It feels like pretty early for everybody to be jumping on him about that. But like, to me, it's not a Frank Reich. I mean, it's partial. Frank Reich's not helping it with the play calls and like what they're doing with Bryce Young. But to me, it's like the offensive line and the weapons. They wanted these weapons, these underneath guys. They could dink and dunk their way down the field with an offensive line that was questionable. And it's not enough because defenses can squat on it and there's not enough of a run game there. And you're just asking your defense to do too much. So I don't know that it's necessarily Frank Reich's play calling. I think it's like the Panthers prematurely believed that they were kind of not a quarterback away, but prematurely believed that getting a quarterback first overall with the weapons that they had while trading DJ Moore could allow them to be a team that competes for the playoffs. And clearly that's just not the case right now. So moving along, Mom, I'll text you back later. I know you're watching. Titans at the Colts. Colts -1.5, total 42.5. This is getting some juice to the Tennessee side. I believe Mike Vrabel now a dog all 5 weeks to start the season.
Wow.
Total is actually getting way up at 42.5 with the oh, sorry, that's what it was. Maybe it opened a little bit lower, but it's getting juice at -115 as well. I think, man, Propstarz, Anthony Richardson, this guy, like, what we said last week on the show, right? Anytime touchdown, or we said at one point, I think Katie called it. I mean, and he got a couple. And he's an anytime touchdown machine.
Yeah.
Yep, Katie's called it a few times. Certainly a good look. I just think when he's on the field, getting that close to even odds is definitely a good look. Just really impressed with his poise. Even down, 23-0, still came back in that game to tie it, force overtime. Really impressed with Anthony Richardson. Just want to bring up Derrick Henry, though. Looked like he was cooked coming into this game. He looked plenty explosive last week. Turned the corner on some big runs on that big touchdown run. Was very impressed with Derrick Henry. I really think it's been a result of that offensive line. Also put to bed the Tajay Spears hype train. I think Tajay Spears is going to play if the team is trailing, but I think with a lead, it's still going to be the all Derrick Henry show. And it just reminds me of that great Sopranos quote. I guess it's from The Godfather. Just when I thought they were out, he pulls me back in.
By the way, Emory, you had the Colts winning the division before the season.
And I had Anthony Richardson, my QB1, coming into the draft before he even had a full season at Florida. But I digress on that.
That's neither here nor there.
That's neither here nor there. Shane Steichen, can you stay out the way? Imagine if he kicks the field goal to when they're down 23-8 and makes it 23-11. Instead of going for it, they win by 3 in regulation. He has been doing this all season long. Yes. Situational football has been killed. They should be undefeated right now. And when you think about the Colts and Texas, they look like the two best teams in the division right now. And they're banged up in the secondary. We saw Flowers, I believe, got hurt yesterday. That's huge because he's a great athlete. So they're thin in the secondary, but will the Titans be able to take advantage with Tannehill? So this is a very tough game. I probably will stay away from it.
One game that I think that you might want to jump on now, Giants at Dolphins laying 9.5. I think after this Monday night game, the Giants are facing the Seahawks tonight. We could see this in double digits in the Dolphins' favor. And I think there's a huge bounce back coming out from the Dolphins, kind of similarly to what we saw. They had this crazy scoring output, and then they kind of have a little bit more of a down game. The Giants offense has shown me absolutely nothing to say that you can trust them in this spot. And I do think that on Thursday night against the 49ers, they held up pretty good, but the Niners were still able, to drop quite a few points on them. So give me the Dolphins right now at 9.5, because I think we see double digits after tonight's game. Brinson, what do you think?
I got the Dolphins. I got the Giants winning tonight on Monday night. So I mean, I would. Yeah, I know.
Why?
They're favored.
Tell me why?
They're favored.
Playing at home
at Monday night. Home field advantage.
How did home field advantage work out for them on Sunday Night Football? Also, I don't know why we're doing the MetLife back to back again. I mean,
it's you can't do any damage to it. Taylor Swift could have 5 straight concerts there, and you can play games that are just still like before and after, and still you wouldn't know. It's just like this rock hard turf. I'm sort of curious what our feline involved companion down there Prop feels about Devin Achan. Is it Achan now?
Achan.
Very impressed with Devin Achan. His efficiency has been absolutely out of this world. 11 touches, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns yesterday. He also outsnapped Raheem Mostert, I believe, 39-28. So it could be a changing of the guard in that Miami backfield. Certainly is playing as well as any running back in the NFL right now, and he's definitely earning more touches and more snaps, but very, very impressive from him even in that loss.
Just one thing to throw back on the previous game, and then we can move along unless you got something on Giants and Dolphins, Emory. But Jonathan Taylor going to practice on Wednesday.
Hell, my fantasy team is excited.
I mean, there's a decent chance he plays against the Titans. Like the Colts, I mean, dude, like I did a thing for the Colts, like for social, it was like 5 teams he could land with. The number 1 team he should land with is the Colts. You have a rookie quarterback. Just pay. Who cares? Just pay the running back some money and be better. Like you got to, like you're 2-2. Emory points out you could be 4-0, could be 3-1. Go win the division. Pay Jonathan Taylor. Like I don't care if Zach Moss look good. Pay Jonathan Taylor and go win the division. Like what are you doing? Quit effing around and go win.
Well, you see how, and this is my thought on the Giants, because you see how that's working out for New York, right? By not paying Saquon and paying Daniel Jones, you made him the focal point of the offense, and look what happened. They're out there averaging 1.8 yards an attempt and 0.5 points a game. Like, this is something they got to get better, and I have no faith in them. Katie touched on it. They have shown absolutely nothing offensively for me even trusting tonight or even next week against Miami.
Yeah. Sorry, I was reading a text message right there. Okay, moving on for the Ravens and the Steelers. Ravens minus 4.5 in Pittsburgh. This total low, 39 and a half.
38 and a half, down another full point. My goodness.
Yeah, really. Well, not that their offense has been great. Mitch Trubisky is expected to start. Kenny Pickett obviously got injured this weekend. If you look at Trubisky as a home dog, he's 5-6 straight up, 5-3-3 against the spread. And as a career dog overall, 15-11-4 against the spread. Emory, do you like the Steelers' chances better with Trubisky than Pickett?
Mike Tomlin versus Lamar Jackson is interesting. And the Steelers have been one team that has kind of made it tough for Lamar Jackson to have success like he has had against the rest of the division. The Ravens also have a history of playing with their food in teams that on paper, they should cream Pittsburgh. Trubisky, Ravens defense should be Ravens 44-0. But this game going to come down to the wire. So I would stay away from it because of how the Steelers tend to game plan for Lamar Jackson with the defensively. So this game could be a lot closer than what people think.
Yeah, Lamar just 2-3 in his career against the Steelers. 4 passing touchdowns, 6 interceptions in 5 games against the against Pittsburgh. Less than 59.6% completion rate, 634 passing yards. That's 126.8 per game. Nothing particularly impressive. And even when you look at the rushing, 47 carries, 217 yards. So that's 4.6 yards per rush. I mean, these numbers are just very uninspiring against this Steelers defense. I think everyone will be jumping on the Ravens here because of the Mitchell Trubisky factor, but man, Lamar against the Steelers has not been good. This really could be like a 9-6 game.
Yeah, there's no props or anything available for this. Propstarz, are you looking at anything in this game in terms of props to look at?
I would agree with Emory regarding the Baltimore Ravens tending to play down to their level of competition. I've just been really impressed with Lamar Jackson. I know historically, obviously struggling against Pittsburgh, but he's been to me, he's been great this year. Yeah, and I think they've overcome so many injuries on both sides of the football for Baltimore. I think they've been as injured as almost any team in the league. He looks very good to me. They're the favorite to win the division. I think he's going to be a top 3 MVP candidate as well. So yeah, looking at the futures market as far as Lamar's concerned right now, I like his chances in the MVP race.
Yeah, Lamar's still 12-1 to win MVP. I mean, he was only probably like 15-1 to start the season. Allen has leapfrogged Tua now at +3. We're looking over at FanDuel. Allen at +350, Tua at 5-1, Mahomes 5-1, Hurts 8-1, and then Lamar and then Herbert. We point out Brock Purdy 16-1 as well. You got to win your division. That's so key. And the Ravens, if they win this game, will have swept the division on the road in week 5. That is nuts. You have 3 road division wins in week 5.
Like you told me earlier today that this doggone home thing mattered.
Doesn't matter when you're.
It does.
Doesn't matter when you're starting doing
it. It does in certain places. It's not going to win you the game, but there is such thing as home field advantage. Having
you know what negates home field advantage?
What?
Gimpy Joe Burrow, Dorian Thompson,
I thought you was about to throw one of them radio
DTR, Gimpy Joe Burrow, and Mitchell Trubisky. That's what negates home field advantage. That's how the Ravens. If the Ravens get that, think about that. That's wild. In the first 5 weeks of the season, you might get 2 backups and Joe Burrow at his absolute bottom. Right? Like, that's crazy that you would get that on the road in the division to start the season. That's how, you overcome a rash of injuries to win your division.
No Nick Chubb either.
No Nick Chubb. Yeah, good point. That is quite an interesting situation for them. Saints-Patriots, Pats -1.5. Yeah, I would bet Lamar Jackson MVP. Pats boy, can't quit the Pats, can I? Pats -1.5.
Put this game at 8 o'clock, or before the London game. Put this game at 8 o'clock.
I know. Put this game at 6 a.m.
Relegate this game.
Yeah. Total 39.5. I would lean towards the under here. Yeah. I mean, the Saints cannot. I mean, that total should be lower. It's in. I don't think. Let's see if weather will be a factor at all. But the Ooh, Sunday. Ooh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Under City, baby. Boston says it'll be rainy all throughout the morning. 13 to 12, 13, 11 mile per hour winds. Two teams that don't want to pass the ball might get Jameis Winston, which is actually Jameis would be concerning for the over because he might throw like 3 pick-sixes. If it's Derek Carr that bum shoulder again against Mac Jones, 2 conservative game plans, 2 pretty good defenses. Patriots banged up. Matthew Judon maybe I think he's supposed to miss significant time. The under is a great look here to me at 39.5 right now.
Only this game could produce a player that could somehow top a 13 reception for 33-yard performance. That's what Alvin Kamara posted yesterday with Derek Carr obviously throwing him the football. So talk about inefficiency. I believe Carr at one point had 17. He was 17 for 25 with 75 passing yards. Had a big completion at the end of the game to go over the century mark. But yeah, 17 for 25 for 75 passing yards.
Is that right? Well, how do you not pull him out of there? I feel like Derek Carr like had some like that is wild. 37 pass attempts for 127 yards. That is outrageous.
Disgusting. Yeah.
Not for Dennis Allen, though. That's par for the course. I told y'all last week, like that game was going to depend on who's starting that game. And we saw what an injured, skittish Derek Carr looked like in the pocket against Tampa Bay's pressure. Bill Belichick has to be licking his chops. But it's all about which defense you trust in this game. Like this could be the 9-6 game.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think so too. Yeah.
Under.
Yeah, and with the difference with Winston is like Jameis will throw some stuff into tight windows, try to force it. Patriots could pick 6 it, and that's how that game goes over because Jameis is then throwing bombs back down the way, like the other way. If it's Derek Carr, I mean, with a bum shoulder, is going to be captain check down all day long. Love the under if Carr plays in this. If he played last week, I don't see why he wouldn't play again this week. All right, that's a consensus on the under there. Bengals at the Cardinals. Yeah. Bengals -3, -115, getting some juice there. The total was 43.5, has climbed up to 44.5 with juice to the over as well. The Bengals were -7.5 on the look ahead, open at -6. Joe Burrow has been terrible. Calf is still hurting him. We were just discussing last night, like, what do you do with Joe Burrow? Do you sit him? Do you roll him out there? T. Higgins with a rib injury said he won't be out an extended period of time on Monday, but could certainly miss this game. Emory, Cardinals have been plucky. They kept it. They hung around. Really should have covered against the Niners, but I mean, like
a bad beat at the end, right? The drop by Ertz, like, bro.
I know that's tough to see. Yeah, I know. What do you? How are you handling this? Like this Burrow situation? What do you do on offense if you're the Bengals?
Joe Mixon is standing right there in your face, Zach Taylor. Like, what are you even doing? Dropping him back, throwing the ball as much as you are. Your offensive line can't handle pass rush. Maybe they could run block. Wow. Like, it's fascinating how a lot of times these coaches mess this thing up. It's not that complicated. And so the best way to calm this pressure that they're going to see from the Cardinals front is to run right at him and allow Burrow to operate off play action, give him a little bit, half a second more time back there in the pocket, because he can't throw. He can't really step into these throws with the tweaked calf or whatnot. And you still drop it back. Yeah, you put him in the shotgun. That's not going. That may help, but he still can't help that he can't step into the throws.
By the way, Burrow, the first quarterback in NFL history with 150 pass attempts in his team's first 4 weeks to go under 5 yards per pass attempt. He can't throw downfield. You're right.
Right, because he can't step into it. And he can't get the velocity on it, and he didn't have the strongest of arms to begin with. So, again, I would stay away from this game because I don't trust that they're going to lean into Joe Mixon like they should. And the Cardinals, they look like it was the Mike Tyson approach when they got to San Francisco right out of the gate until the second half. There was this is big bad San Francisco. We forgot how to cover. We just gonna leave everybody open. We're not gonna tackle Christian McCaffrey. And so it's like, are they gonna come in now feeling they could beat Cincinnati? Or are they gonna come in with that same "we're just happy to be here" approach against the Bengals that they did against San Francisco?
I might look at the Cardinals team total here. It's at 20.5. They've been frisky and they've been pretty good on offense. Now, I know obviously the Bengals were able to hold Matt Stafford. That was a desperate game for the Bengals. Not that they're not going to be desperate in this matchup too, but I might lean towards over the total in general and look at the Cardinals team total. They've just been a fun team. They've been a fun team to watch, and this offense has been moving. What do you think, Props?
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback on Emory's point, it's funny with Zach Taylor, the knock on him originally was that he was running the football way too much, and they just needed to kind of let Joe Burrow cook. And now that Joe Burrow's gimpy and the passing game is completely ineffective or inefficient, they're not running the ball nearly enough because Joe Mixon has been their best offensive player. So I certainly agree there. The Bengals have been also run blocking a lot better than their pass protection as well. It would benefit them to protect Burrow and to kind of focus on what's working for them, which has been Joe Mixon. But I have just been so impressed with Josh Dobbs, with this Cardinals team. We saw the rookie Michael Wilson, 70 yards, a pair of touchdowns, Hollywood Browns balling out as well. I just think the wrong team here is favored based on, history, but this season, the Cardinals, I have a lot more confidence in them than I do in the Bengals. All their three units as well are playing better than the Bengals, in my opinion. So I think the Cardinals should win this game outright.
Outright. Ooh, Cardinals money line. That is frisky bet. We like it. All right. Eagles laying 4.5 at the Rams. This total 49.5. Look ahead was Eagles -6. It opened at 5.5. Already been bet down to 4.5. Matt Stafford, reminding everyone just how tough and clutch he is versus the Colts this last weekend. Puka Nacua finally getting into the end zone there at the end of the game. The Eagles offense just really has not impressed me this season as much as they did last season. I might mess around and take the Rams here, plus the 4.5. I just think this is a good spot for them. What are you thinking, Emory?
I didn't like how Matt Stafford looked after he got hit.
Oh, the hip injury. He said he is going to play in this next.
That's not good news for me versus this Eagles front. That's an issue because he looked heavily favoring it down the stretch, but kudos to him. So I worry about that dynamic in this game. 4.5, I like a lot more than 6. So I'm gonna lay these points with Philadelphia because they are the better team. But you got to say that Sean McVay is one hell of a coach. He got this young team playing out, a year ahead of themselves. All those, and it shows you what happens when you believe in someone and you empower someone to be successful. Because we saw it last night with Zach Wilson, and we're seeing it right now with these rookie Rams and these first year starter Rams just making plays all over the field, and a lot better. This whole conference is better than the division is better than what we thought it was going to be coming into the season. So this is now a 4-team division as opposed to a 2-team.
I want to look real quick what the over under for Philly is, because so Philly 3-1 to the over so far this year. I get the only game that went under was that Buccaneers game, and I think that Bucs offense just not as like I think Tampa's 3-1. I think we talked about this last night where it's like, what the hell do you know about the NFC South right now with like Atlanta, Tampa, and like I think the NFC South could be like worse than people think. It's like you got two and 2 teams and a 3-1 team, but like when they start playing anybody else that's kind of decent, they get a little bludgeoned. So looking at this, I just think maybe we see a situation where we don't know. We could get Cooper Kupp back, but I think we'll hear about that later today, probably from Sean McVay. If Cooper Kupp comes back, kind of love this over. I mean, it's really high, but Philly is, Philly's 3-1 to the over, and the Rams 2-2. I could just see a lot of points in this game, I feel like.
I like the over here as well, Brinson, and I think Cooper Kupp is expected to practice this week and potentially play in week 5. So, yeah, certainly good news for the Rams and their passing attack. The Eagles have a very stout front seven, and the run defense is very good, but they've been very vulnerable in the back end. So I think that's going to be difficult to contain Matthew Stafford. And we're talking about Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell.
Quick hitting stuff to avoid that pressure. Yeah. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, so I think they're going to score a lot of points. We saw that with the Commanders. They had a great game plan courtesy of Bieniemy getting rid of the ball very quickly. So yeah, I think the Rams can certainly score against this team. I think the over is a really good look as well.
Yeah, and maybe keep an eye out for, and you might not get him because of his injury, but Matthew Stafford over pass attempts or over completions. Or, Puka Cooper Kupp over receiving, because Puka's numbers will be pulled down a little bit if Cooper Kupp plays. So those might be decent looks.
Shout out to Kyron Williams, though, for running the heck out of the football, too.
Yeah. Yeah, he's playing awesome.
2 touchdowns yesterday.
Yeah.
Wild. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break here. When we get back, we're going to talk more early leans for week 5, including Chiefs at Vikings. Chiefs coming off of an interesting game last night. Stick around.
Over a decade of her reign concludes to an icon on and off the field. We thank you, Megan.
Welcome back to Pick Six Podcast. Continuing with our week 5 early looks and leans here. Chiefs laying 5.5 at Minnesota, total 52.5. The Chiefs looked, won the game obviously last night, but I think arguably maybe one of Patrick Mahomes' worst games that he's played. I believe that Zach Wilson had more passing yards than Patrick Mahomes did last night, which is actually pretty wild. Threw 2 picks. Seemed like that maybe the overhype of the game and stuff was getting to him a little bit. Obviously, the Vikings, we know, have not been great this year. Everything has slipped over to the other side. They're losing a lot of single score games. I would lean on the Chiefs bounce back here, minus the 5.5, probably the over 52.5, because the Vikings, Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson's have been putting up a lot of points. But Emory, what do you think about this Chiefs defense?
Very much so leading from the front. They're better than what people give them credit for. And now that you have Chris Jones back in the fold and getting his groove going like he did last night, I just think that this defense should help them cover this spread, but also keep this under.
Yeah, I'm with the under too.
I'm with the under here, and I like the Chiefs to lay the points, but I like the under because I don't see the Vikings scoring as many points because I think they're going to get after Kirk Cousins in all situations. Because, we like to joke about garbage time Cousins, but I don't think it's going to even get to that because we saw that defensive line, really find his rhythm so far this season. So I like the defense here more so than anything. And so I'm gonna lay the points, but I'm gonna take the under.
So the Vikings are actually 1-3 to the over. They've been an under team, but it's because like they had that 54.5 point total against the Chargers that went under that.
They're really high.
They just had these high totals because they're not very good on defense, but you can run on the Vikings. And I think the Chiefs, we saw what they're willing to like lean on Isaiah Pacheco. I think it'd be a good spot to look for him. He's playing, he played awesome in the sort of the hometown narrative game on Sunday night. Help them get to that win. And so with the Chiefs too, like they're 2-2 to the over. One of those was the 41-10 game against the Bears where, Chicago can't stop anybody. And then the other was that, I guess the week 1 game against the Lions went over. Or did last night's game go over?
I think last night's game went over.
Last night's game went over. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because 23-20, that total was like in the 39. It was like 39 or something like that. So you have like a really low total that barely went over because Zach Wilson put up 20 unanswered points against Patrick Mahomes or against that Chiefs defense. And then you have the game where they just blasted the Bears out of the water. So I could see a game where Kevin O'Connell is trying to say, we want to keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands. They're trying to run the football. And then on third downs, Cousins is throwing to Justin Jefferson. And then, on the same note, you have the Chiefs running the football as well. And so like, maybe it's like you go under now 52.5. And then when that game starts out slow, which I think it will, just like that Chargers-Vikings game, you could get a live over and end up with a spot where you have a really nice window where you could hit both.
Props, any thoughts on this game?
I'm all aboard the Rashee Rice hype train. I think he's going to end up being Patrick Mahomes' favorite weapon besides Travis Kelce, obviously. As the season progresses, I think he's going to end up running a ton of routes out of the slot. That's where Sky Moore has been primarily operating. He's been completely ineffective. I think maybe even this week we'll see Rashee Rice out-snap, certainly out-produce, which he's done all season long, Sky Moore. So that's someone I've got my eye on. I really like a lot.
Yeah, second. You mentioned him last week, second in targets, and had a kind of a bad drop, but otherwise played pretty well. Next up, the Jets and the Broncos. God, this game was super sexy in the preseason when Sean Payton decided to drag the Jets.
Oh, yes.
Now this game is not as this game's probably on CBS, so I should probably stop saying that. But the Broncos -2.5. Look ahead was Broncos -3. Opened at 2.5 after the Jets played well on Sunday night. Total 42.5. And look, are we going to get anything resembling Zach Wilson from last night? Because if we are, I love the over here. I think
I
the
think
Jets.
they will.
The Jets defense is good. It's not as great. It's not as good as they think. I think they probably bounce. I mean, they it's good.
Well,
It's
they're
not historically great.
Yeah.
Broncos defense not good, but I think the Broncos will be able to score. I might look at the Jets as like a live dog here. Actually,
Yeah, I like the over here. I think Browns should. I mean, the Broncos found their tailback, Jaleel McLaughlin. It's shocking that this dude went undrafted. I was at the Hula Bowl when you competed down that way, and he did a great job there. But this is someone that ran for like a zillion yards at Notre Dame College, Division II program, transfers up nearby to Youngstown State, goes for a zillion yards there as well. And all you heard throughout the whole postseason All-Star game circuit, hey, he's too small. He's just small. And now he's killing it with the Broncos. And he gives Sean Payton that explosiveness that he loves in his tailbacks. You go back to his time with, the Cowboys and how much, in the Giants, how much he was able to, really help revitalize Tiki Barber, and get him in the mix, right? And then now you look at him now throughout the Saints and all that stuff like that. But yeah, they just lean into him. He keeps the offense explosive. I'm with you, Will. I think this could potentially be an over game because of the Broncos defense and Zach Wilson having confidence now is going to look a lot better.
all right. Let's hit Cowboys at the 49ers. Katie, the Niners undefeated. No, get their first true test of the year. I think you could argue they're 3.5-point favorites at home against a strong Dallas defense. Total of 45. Are you worried that this is going to be a kind of a Cowboys home game at all?
No. I mean, there will be a lot of Cowboys fans there because obviously Cowboys fans travel really well and they're
bandwagon machines. Yeah.
Yeah. So, they live everywhere. So it could be like, I don't know, 70-30 or 60-40. It'll be mostly Niners fans, but there will be a heavy amount of Cowboys fans there. This 3.5, just a little over home field advantage. And look, I think this, and Emory, I think you're going to get into this
I love this home field theme we've got going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, books.
That's why she's joking. That's why you laugh.
I know.
Yeah. Home field advantage. That's what that is. That means they would be neutral somewhere else, but they give 3 for the home. Anyways, this comes down to Dallas's defense. Like, obviously, Dallas has been winning these games because they create turnovers. Can they get Brock Purdy? Emory, I know you're going to get into this a little bit more, but it's if they can make Brock Purdy, turn the ball over, they can win this game. If they can't, then they're not going to win this game and they're not going to cover. I'm curious what the Niners team total is because y'all know I've been preaching this every single day. It is hit 4 weeks in a row. It was 29.5. I'm curious what it's going to be this week, but that is just the gift that keeps on giving.
Worth noting, and you can use sportsline.com/join for get your first month for $1. Use promo code PICK, PICK. Over there, RJ White has his power rankings that he puts in and does like the early looks at some spreads. And I'll just note that the one that stood out, the Lions minus 11.5 according to his power rankings. Also, and you have to check out the full article and subscribe to get it, but 49ers minus 5.5 according to his power rankings. So maybe there's some value here early on the 49ers. That's how I would kind of lean. It's just hard to say because the Niners have been incredible, but they really haven't played anybody, and it's like, are they going to just truck stick the Cowboys defense with this offense? I would be surprised. On the other hand,
Cardinals did.
Exactly. And like, I mean, if you're Dan Quinn and Mike McCarthy, how do you not have like 49ers PTSD after all these playoff losses? Like, I mean, I would be freaking out. You guys have anything?
Team total, it's gone down 24.5. That over plus 102. Taking it.
Emory, Alex, you guys got anything on this game?
I've been impressed with Dallas's secondary and tertiary option. Michael Gallup strung together a couple of good games. He kind of looked a little bit dead in the water there. And I was also curious why Dalton Schultz wasn't re-signed to the Cowboys in the offseason. But now I understand after watching Jake Ferguson play, I think that Dallas has a very solid tight end in him. He's someone I look to continue. Dak really loves his tight end as a security blanket. So I think their connection is going to continue to grow. Someone I have my eye on for props. Maybe not against the 49ers because they defend tight ends exceptionally well, but definitely going forward.
If I'm Dallas, if I'm San Francisco, I'm circling 2 people on defense for Dallas. Obviously, Michael Parsons.
Yeah. And
obviously, Leighton Vander Esch, because they could take advantage of him because he doesn't have the same athleticism. He could be vulnerable in coverage off play action. But I said Michael Parsons because I'm not going to let you rush the passer. We're going to run right at you. We're going to turn you to a defender all day long. We're going to see how
the Cardinals did.
Right. You want to defend the run until you prove you can stop the run consistently. Then we'll allow you to get after the quarterback. But I do like Dallas here. If we go back, look at that playoff game, if it wasn't for Dak giving them 9 points, they beat San Francisco. So they do match up well athletically, but it's going to be up to, can they play a clean game offensively? So
Well, that's
the key.
Can they play a clean game, and can they force those turnovers? So
Or can they catch them at least? Because I mean, they can get after Purdy on those.
Yeah, Purdy's the luckiest. I will
Right.
admit he's
You know
the
what I'm saying?
luckiest when it comes to his should be interceptions not being caught.
All right, final game, Packers -1.5 at the Raiders, total 44.5. This line looks like it's going to tick up towards the Packers. We haven't seen anybody this season come back from a concussion and play the following week, which is me. I think that this is something the NFL is putting an emphasis on. Like, they don't want guys clearing concussion protocol a week after they play. Like, if you get a concussion, you are probably going to miss 1 week. But that also means, especially if it's Monday, Jimmy Garoppolo likely coming back for this game, I would think. So I guess I'm wondering, like, what does this line do if Jimmy G is playing? I tend to, like, knowing there's a chance he doesn't play, I tend to lean towards the Packers a little bit here, but it's Monday night on the road. That Vegas feels like Vegas steals some of these, like, primetime games against questionable teams, and it's not like Jordan Love has been great.
Well, Vegas, to me, it seems like they're the new London. You look in the Vegas crowd, and there's like teams from jerseys from everybody.
Yeah, it's
like,
everybody on a bachelor parties or bachelor.
Right. It's like this. I hate that it's not still in California, but whatever. If the Packers can't be healthier up front, this could be a problem. And that's what has caused a lot of the ineffectiveness for just Jordan Love in the beginning of the game. And he finds the rhythm, and then he gets it going late. But they just are a better team right now, I feel like, than the Raiders. So I would trust this at 1.5, lay the points for the Packers, and I like the over because I feel like the Raiders, whether it's Aiden O'Connell or even Jimmy G, they can get you at least 17. The problem is they can't stop you from scoring 30. I think that's going to be the biggest key.
All right. That's going to do it for our show today. Thank you so much for joining us, and make sure you join us all week long for more NFL coverage. Tomorrow, it is Brinson, Breach, and Wilson, joined by Pete Prisco to break down his weekly power rankings on CBSSports.com. Always a fun one. One last reminder to show us some love and like, comment, and hit that subscribe button on the YouTube page for us. If you're listening to the audio version only, download, follow, leave a 5-star review, and tell your friends to listen and watch the pod. Some of us will see you tomorrow.